Hello, precious soul. Today I am not addressing everyone. I am addressing you, the one who waits, the one who, once in a moment of great need or great hope, sent their most secret prayer into the universe. Perhaps it was a silent plea, uttered on your knees in the quiet of your room. Perhaps it was a desperate cry from your heart, thrown into the night sky, or a quiet, hopeful whisper about the future, about healing, about a sign, about help. You gathered all your faith, all your sincerity, all your vulnerability, and you sent that request. You gave a piece of your soul. You did everything you could. You asked, you believed, you opened yourself up, and in response, there was silence. Not a peaceful, blissful silence, a deafening silence, heavy, empty. A silence that is like an echo that never returned. You shouted your most important word into a deep canyon, and the sound simply disappeared, swallowed up by the void. There was no answer, no sign, not even a hint that you had been heard. And so you sit in this silence, day after day, week after week, month after month, and the silence only grows thicker. And in this soil of silence, poisonous seeds begin to sprout. The first to sprout is doubt. It whispers in your ear late at night. Maybe I asked wrong. Maybe my faith wasn't strong enough. Maybe I don't deserve an answer. Maybe there's no one there at all, and I've been talking to myself all this time. This whisper undermines the very foundation of your faith, turning it from solid rock into quicksand. After doubt comes its older brother, irritation, and sometimes anger. You look around and see others seemingly getting their answers. Their prayers are heard, their paths are cleared, and a bitter question boils up inside. Why them and not me? I tried so hard. I followed all the rules. I was patient. How am I worse? Why am I being ignored? And this feeling of injustice is heavy, like a millstone around your neck. And after the anger comes the deepest pain. A feeling of abandonment, a loneliness that cannot be compared to anything else. It's the feeling that you are a small child lost in a huge park, calling for your parents, but no one answers. The belief that there is some kind of loving, caring force guiding us through life begins to crack, and a chilling fear sets in. What if I'm all alone on this journey? What if there is no plan, no guiding hand? And so, tormented by the silence, we reach the final stage, despair. We are ready to give up, to stop asking, to stop hoping. Because hope that does not come true causes even more pain than its absence. It is easier to believe that there will be no miracle than to wait for it every day and not see it happen. It is easier to close your heart than to keep it open and vulnerable in the face of a silent sky. If any of this resonates with you, if you recognize yourself in this description, I want you to stop and hear me now. Everything you feel, your doubt, your anger, your pain, your despair, is not a sign of your spiritual weakness. I will repeat it again. This is not a failure of your faith. It does not mean that you prayed badly or that you are unworthy. What you are going through is one of the deepest, most mysterious, and most difficult trials on the spiritual path. You are not the first, and you will not be the last to walk through this valley of silence. The greatest saints, prophets, and sages of all time have gone through their own dark night of the soul when it seemed that God had abandoned them. Your questions why and how long are not a sin. They are prayer in its most honest, raw human form. Before we can find meaning in this waiting, we must give ourselves permission to experience it in its fullness. We must honor our pain. We must acknowledge the depth of our disappointment. So today, I'm not offering you answers. I'm offering you my presence. I'm here to sit with you in your silence, to tell you that I see you, that your pain is real, and that you're not going crazy. You're just a person with a heart that dared to be brave and ask for something more. And there is nothing but courage in that. Let's just be with that. And next time, we'll talk about what if this silence isn't emptiness? What if this silence isn't the absence of an answer, but part of the answer itself. We have stopped in the Valley of Silence, in a place where our most sincere questions seem to dissolve into emptiness. And this emptiness is frightening. It makes us doubt the fruitfulness of our faith and the very meaning of our journey. But let me ask you a question. What if this silence, this visible emptiness, is not the absence of an answer, but an integral part of it? What if the land that seems barren and empty to you is actually, right now, at this very moment, full of invisible, titanic work? I want to share with you an ancient parable. It is a story about patience, about trust, and about the power of invisible growth. It is a parable about Chinese bamboo. Imagine a wise gardener. He takes a small, unremarkable seed and plants it in carefully prepared, fertilized soil. He knows that this seed has the potential to become a mighty plant, and he begins his work. Every day he comes and waters this spot. He protects it from weeds. He cares for the soil. The first year passes. The gardener works hard, but not a single sprout appears from the ground. Around him, other plants sprout, bloom, and bear fruit. But his patch of land remains empty. His neighbors may shake their heads and laugh at his futile labor. The second year passes. The gardener continues his daily ritual. He rises with the sun, takes his watering can, and goes to that very spot. He waters the empty ground. He believes, but nothing happens. The third year passes. Silence. The fourth year. Absolute, unchanging silence on the surface. 4 long years of faith, labor, and daily care invested in what seems dead. Imagine the depth of his trial. How many times must he have wanted to give up? How many times did doubt knock on his heart, saying, "You are a fool. The seed is dead. You are wasting your life watering emptiness." But every morning he took his watering can again and went to his field. And then in the 5th year, a miracle happened. One morning, the gardener saw a small, delicate green sprout breaking through the ground. And then the most incredible thing began. In just 6 weeks, that sprout grew into a giant, mighty bamboo, shooting up into the sky to a height of more than 20 meters. And here is the main question of this parable. Did the bamboo grow in 6 weeks, or did it grow for 5 years? The answer is obvious. It grew for 5 years. But for 4 years and almost 11 months, all its growth was directed not upward, but downward. In silence and darkness, hidden from all eyes, the bamboo built its foundation. It developed an incredibly complex, powerful, and extensive root system. These roots were to become the foundation that would support its future greatness. If it had tried to grow in 6 weeks without these roots, the first gust of wind would have broken it. The 4 years of silence were not years of no growth. They were years of the most important, most fundamental growth. Dear soul who waits, your prayer, your dream, your hope is the bamboo seed you have planted. And this period of silence, this quiet that hurts your heart so much, is not a sign that you have not been heard. It is your time to grow roots. Right now in this silence, while nothing seems to be happening on the surface, a tremendous, invisible work is going on inside you. Your foundation is being laid. What roots are you growing right now? These are the roots of character. Every week of waiting that you endure without becoming embittered grows the root of patience in you. Every doubt you meet with an act of faith grows a root of steadfastness. These are the roots of wisdom. The waiting period forces us to rethink our desires. Do I really want this? Am I ready for this? Silence is a mirror in which we begin to see ourselves and our motives more clearly. These are the roots of humility. We learn to understand that we are gardeners, not creators. We can plant and water, but we cannot command growth. We learn to trust the rhythms of life, which are wiser than our own. And most importantly, these are the roots of preparation. The universe is not only preparing the answer for you, it is preparing you for the answer. Perhaps what you are asking for is so great and beautiful that if you received it now, you would not be able to hold it. Your current root system is not yet ready. You need to become stronger, deeper, more grounded, so that your future blessing will not break you, but lift you up. So what should you do during this time of waiting? The same thing a wise gardener would do. He did not sit idly by, staring at the empty ground and suffering. He continued to do what he could. He continued to water. Our task during this period of silence is to continue to water our seed. Water it with your faith, even if it is only the size of a mustard seed. Water it with your daily small steps. Water it with gratitude for what you already have. Your waiting is not a passive state. It is a sacred, active process. Do not curse this silence. Respect it. For in its dark, fertile soil, the foundation of your future greatness is being laid right now. But what kind of work is going on in our souls at this time? Let's talk about it in more detail. We have embraced the wisdom of the gardener. We understand that our waiting is a time for roots to grow. But this beautiful metaphor leaves us with a question. What are these roots? What kind of work, invisible to the eye, is going on in the workshop of our soul while its doors are closed and all we hear outside is silence? I want you to understand one of the greatest truths of the spiritual path. The period of waiting is not a punishment for lack of faith, nor is it a cosmic accident. It is almost always a deliberate, active, and often loving process of preparation. Preparation that goes in three directions. The universe is not just preparing the answer for you, it is preparing you for the answer. The first work that takes place in silence is the work of emptying. Imagine a beautiful clay bowl. To fill it with fresh, clean wine, what must be done first? You need to pour out the old stale wine and maybe even wash it. You can't pour new wine into old wine. It's the same with our soul. We often ask for something new love, a new job, a new level of spiritual understanding, while our inner bowl is filled to the brim with things that need to go. The waiting period is a time when life, like a wise potter, gently tilts our vessel and allows everything unnecessary to flow out. What could that be? It could be our old limiting beliefs about ourselves and the world. It could be our pride, which would not allow us to properly accept the gift. It could be unhealthy attachments, resentments we harbor, or fears we cling to like a lifeline. This process of emptying can be uncomfortable. We may feel lost, as if we are losing a part of ourselves. It is like the work of a sculptor. In order to reveal to the world the beautiful statue hidden in a block of marble, he must cut away everything that is superfluous. Each strike of his hammer and chisel is an act of creation, although from the outside it may look like an act of destruction. Your waiting is a time when the divine sculptor cuts away from your soul everything that is not your true essence, in order to prepare you for the beautiful form you are meant to take. The second work, done in silence, is the work of strengthening. A blessing given to someone who is not ready to bear it can become a curse. Enormous power placed in weak hands can destroy both the person and everything around them. Often we ask for things for which our spiritual muscles are not yet ready. Imagine an archer preparing to shoot. What does he do to ensure that the arrow flies far and accurately to the target? He places it on the bowstring and pulls it back, as far back as possible. From the outside, it may seem like a backward movement, a movement away from the target. But it is precisely in this backward movement that potential energy is accumulated, which then propels the arrow forward with incredible force. Your waiting period is like this slow, tense pulling of the bowstring. Life pulls you back not to reject you, but so that you can accumulate enough strength for a powerful and accurate flight. Every day you spend waiting patiently, you train your most important muscles, the muscle of faith, which learns to trust without seeing, the muscle of perseverance, which learns to endure uncertainty, and the muscle of humility, which learns to accept that not everything in this world depends on our will. When the bowstring is released, you will not just fly, you will be ready for that flight. And finally, the third work is the work of alignment. We often think of our prayers and desires in a very self-centered way. I want this, and I want it now. But we forget that we are not the only figure on the vast chessboard of life. Our blessing, our answer, is often connected to dozens, even hundreds of other circumstances and destinies. Imagine the work of a great watchmaker who assembles a complex mechanism. Every gear, every spring, every screw must fall into place with absolute precision for the clock to work. If one, even the smallest gear, starts to turn ahead of time, it will break the entire mechanism. Your period of waiting is the time when the divine watchmaker is putting all the other pieces in place. Perhaps for you to succeed, someone else needs to change jobs. Perhaps for your relationship to work, your future partner needs to learn their own life lesson. Perhaps for your project to succeed, the economic situation in the world needs to change. We see only our own little cog and cry out, "Why am I not turning?" But the watchmaker, seeing the whole mechanism, calmly replies, "Be patient. It is not yet time. I am preparing the perfect moment for you." So, while you wait in silence, you are not abandoned or forgotten. Your soul is going through three sacred processes. It is being emptied of the old, it is being strengthened for the new, and it is being aligned with the great design of the universe. This is not a passive state. It is perhaps the most active and important period of your life. Realizing this, we come to the next question. If such important work is going on in the silence, how should we behave during this time? How can we facilitate this process rather than interfere with it? We will talk more about this art of active waiting later. We looked into the workshop of our soul and saw the secret, sacred work that goes on during periods of silence. Realizing this changes everything. It forces us to make a choice, for there are two ways to wait. The first way is passive waiting. This is the waiting of a prisoner in a cell who sits staring at the wall and simply counts the days. His life is on pause. All his energy goes into suffering from waiting. He does not live, he merely exists in the interval between now and the moment when the door may open. It is a waiting full of despair that exhausts and destroys the soul. But there is a second way. It is active waiting. This is the waiting of a wise farmer in the middle of winter. He does not sit around cursing the snow. He knows that this is a time of rest and preparation. He sharpens his tools, repairs his plow, and plans what seeds he will plant in the spring. He uses the waiting time to become a better farmer. His body rests, but his spirit works. It is a hopeful waiting that creates and strengthens. The question that life asks each of us during this period of silence is, what kind of waiter will you choose to be? A prisoner or a farmer? Active waiting is the art of cooperating with the universe. It is our way of saying, I understand that invisible work is going on, and I want to help. How can we do this? Here are a few practices that will transform painful waiting into a fruitful and meaningful period of your life. First practice, continue to water the soil. Let's return to our gardener from the parable. What did he do for 4 years until he saw a single sprout? He continued to come every day and water the ground. He acted as if he were absolutely certain of future growth. It was his act of faith put into action. So should we. Watering the soil means continuing to do your part. If you are praying for a new job, continue to improve your skills, send out resumes, and learn new things. If you are praying for healing in your relationships, continue to work on yourself, learn to be a better partner, show love and kindness. If you are praying for a creative breakthrough, continue to write, paint, or play every day, even if you don't feel inspired. Act as if you have already received a yes and are simply preparing for its arrival. Faith without action is dead, not because God punishes inaction, but because action is the physical manifestation of our faith that keeps its fire burning. Second practice, live in the present moment. Passive waiting steals our life. It forces us to live in the future in an illusory when. I will be happy when I get this job. I will start to truly live when I meet my love. I will calm down when this problem is resolved. And we miss hundreds, thousands of precious nows that make up our real life. Active waiting calls us to bring our attention back to the present day, to this very breath, to this very conversation, to this very ray of sunshine on the wall. God, life, the universe. It's not in the future, it's right here. And perhaps silence and waiting are given to us precisely so that we can finally stop chasing the horizon and see the treasures lying at our feet. Don't put your life on pause. The greatest miracle is the very fact that you are alive right now. Third practice, cultivate gratitude. Waiting inevitably breeds a sense of lack. We focus on what we don't have. The most powerful antidote to this poison is conscious gratitude. Gratitude shifts the focus of our consciousness from scarcity to abundance. Every day, especially when waiting is difficult, find 3 things you are grateful for right now. Not in the past, not in the future, but in your present day. I am grateful for the roof over my head. I am grateful for a friend who listened to me. I am grateful that my body breathes without my effort. This simple practice is like fertilizing the soil of your soul. It creates a fertile environment in which the seeds of trust grow much faster than the weeds of despair. And the fourth practice, the most subtle, listen to the silence. We are so desperate to hear a loud yes or no that we don't notice the quiet whisper. We complain about the silence instead of listening to it. Try changing your question to the universe. Instead of why are you silent, ask, what are you trying to tell me with this silence? Make silence your teacher. Perhaps it is teaching you patience. Perhaps it is showing you which external things you have been relying on too much. Perhaps in this silence, for the first time in a long time, you can hear not the loud voice of God, but the quiet voice of your own soul. Waiting is a time of deep self-discovery. Don't miss this opportunity. Passive waiting is exhausting. Active waiting is transformative. It turns a seemingly barren desert into an invisible garden where the most valuable qualities of our spirit grow. The choice is yours. Every day you choose who you want to be, a prisoner or a gardener. And now that we know how to wait, we are ready to anchor this knowledge in our hearts and ask for the strength to follow this path. We are ready to pray. And here we stand at the end of our journey together. We have passed through the valley of silence and emerged onto the plateau of understanding. We are no longer prisoners, passively awaiting our fate. We are wise gardeners who have learned to see invisible growth. We are artisans in the workshop of the soul who have begun to appreciate the process of preparation. We are farmers who know how to care for our fields even in the midst of a long winter. Now, armed with this new vision, let us perform the most important act of active waiting. Let us turn our hearts to the power whose answer we so patiently seek. Let us speak to it not from a place of fear and lack, but from a place of newfound trust. I invite you into a space of prayer. Find a comfortable position, relax your shoulders, take one deep, calm breath, and a slow, releasing exhale. And if your heart is ready, join me. O great design, creator of time and seasons, source of all growth. I come to you today as one who waits. I do not hide my weariness from you. I bring you my impatience. I bring you my questions that echo in the silence. I bring you my heart, weary from waiting, and I lay it all at your feet, knowing that you accept me as I am. Today I make an act of deep trust. I consciously let go of my own timeline. I let go of my ideas about when and how the answer should come. I acknowledge that my view is limited. I see only the path beneath my feet, while you see the entire map of my life from a bird's eye view. Today, I stop demanding and desperately knocking on closed doors. Instead, I learn to trust. Grant me, I pray, the faith of the gardener who waters empty ground for 5 years, knowing the invisible work going on deep within. Help me to appreciate this sacred time of root growth. Help me to remember that my soul is now building a foundation strong enough to withstand the greatness of what you have in store for me. Help me to accept with wisdom and patience the work that is going on in my soul. If you empty my vessel, Help me not to cling to the old. If you strengthen my spirit through trials, give me the strength not to complain. If you are aligning my path with the paths of others, give me the grace to accept your perfect timing. Bless my small acts of faith. Bless my attempts to be grateful for what is now. Bless my decision to live in the present moment, not putting off life until later. Bless my desire to continue watering the soil, doing my part with an open and loving heart. Do not let my soul become embittered while waiting. Fill it with peace that does not depend on answers, but comes from a deep connection with you. I give you my waiting. Turn it from a burden into a blessing. Turn it from a period of anxiety into a period of deep spiritual growth. I trust you. I trust your timing. I trust your wisdom. So be it. Amen. And now receive this blessing, every soul who is in their season of waiting. Blessed be your patience. Blessed be your faith that shines in the darkness of uncertainty. Blessed be the sacred work that is happening in the depths of your soul. And may your waiting bear beautiful, abundant fruit in its perfect time. You are not alone in your waiting. Here in the Faith Spoken community, many are walking the same path of patience and trust. If this message resonates in your heart, please support our channel. Go in peace and trust in time.